22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. They see that the whites are so evenly divided that every time they vote, the race is so close, they have to go back and count the votes all over again. And which means that any block, any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You can keep Johnson in Washington, D.C., or you can send him back to his Texas cotton patch. You're the one who sent Kennedy to Washington. You're the one who put the present Democratic administration in Washington, D.C. The whites were evenly divided. It was the fact that you threw 80% of your votes behind the Democrats that put the Democrats in the White House. When you see this, you can see that the Negro vote is the key factor. And despite the fact that you are in a position to be the determining factor, what do you get out of it? The Democrats have been in Washington, D.C. only because of the Negro vote. They've been down there 4 years. And all other legislation they wanted to bring up, they brought it up and gotten it out of the way, and now they bring up you. And now they bring up you. You put them first, and they put you last. Because you're a chump. A political chump. In Washington, D.C., in the House of Representatives, there are 257 who are Democrats. Only 177 are Republican. In the Senate, there are 67 Democrats. Only 33 are Republicans. The party that you bash controls 2/3 of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and still they can't keep their promise to you, because you're a chump. Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you're dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race. And what kind of alibi do they come up with? They try and pass the buck to the Dixiecrats. Now, back during the days when you were blind, deaf, and dumb, ignorant, politically immature, naturally you went along with that. But today, as your eyes come open and you develop political maturity, you're able to see and think for yourself. And you can see that a Dixiecrat is nothing but a Democrat in disguise. You look at the structure of the government that controls this country. It's controlled by 16 senatorial committees and 20 congressional committees. Of the 16 senatorial committees that run the government, 10 of them are in the hands of Southern segregationists. Of the 20 congressional committees that run the government, 12 of them are in the hands of Southern segregationists. And they're going to tell you and me that the South lost the war.
Now, we haven't had a show in a while, and there's reasons for that. I want to sit back and absorb this whole election cycle. I didn't want to be, and listening to a lot of other podcasts and YouTubers, I mean, my honest opinion, and I always try to be honest with you guys, is that some were going a little too hard. And I wanted to flesh out all these opinions and flesh out all these topics and flesh everything out, man. And I feel like people knew who they're gonna vote for a long time ago. And I think the Democrats and the Republicans knew who you're gonna vote for also. And so that's why they were claiming voter suppression by the Republicans historically. So, in terms of black people. So, and my thought is, you have Joe Biden there and Kamala Harris, who many say Joe Biden is one of the architects of the crime bill. And I know people are tired of hearing about the crime bill. But if you really look at it, to me, it's like the greatest form of vote suppression is mass incarceration. Because you can't vote if you're in jail, and you couldn't vote for a long time unless you're a felon. With that said, they gave the Republicans the tools to remove people from voter rolls using felons. So I'm an independent thinker. I'm not saying the Republicans are great. I'm not saying the Democrats are all that great. I'm an issue voter, issue supporter. I support this issue. I mean, I support that issue. I don't like all that either side does. Now, with that said, I watched the election. I had a little election get together in my house. My son came. One of my oldest son came over, and it was pretty interesting, man. Sat back and watched this thing, and I just noticed something. It's really weird. Now, a lot of support for Joe Biden, but I just didn't see it. I mean, I guess people voted. They said he got the most votes in election history. I find that hard to believe. I don't know. I'm just being cynical. I am cynical, but I find it really hard to believe. And there's a couple points I want to talk about briefly. It's not going to be a long show because of what I want to say. I had another show in the clip, and we pulled it back because timing issues. So a couple things I want to talk about. I want to talk about leading up to election, we saw, and we talked about, and it's been talked about in the media that what Trump was doing. Trump was he loaded up the courts. Now let me pull up you know me, I do everything on the fly. So he was it was a lot of complaints that we got to get him out here because he's loading up the courts and he's loading up the Supreme Court. So, and he put the Amy Barrett in there, and a lot of people were upset about that. Okay. This thing's loud. Let me turn this thing down. And so he appointed a record number of judges. Let's see. Judges. Okay. Oh, okay. Here it is. How Trump compares with other recent presidents in appointing federal judges. Pew Research Center Fact Tank. See if this thing makes any. Okay. Trump has appointed more appeals court judges so far in his tenure than any president since Carter. When is this dated? July 15, 2020. It says he's appointed 53 appeals court. Obama appointed 30 and Bush appointed 35. Total 194. He's loaded up the federal court system with judges. I think the only person that did more than Trump is, you stay in front of the mic, is Jimmy, well, it says here Jimmy Carter did 243 total and 54, it's not important. Jimmy Carter ain't a factor. But, so, okay. Obama did 152, Trump did 194. Okay. So, let's see. Bush did 197. So the Republicans looks like historically outside of Bill Clinton, he did 184. Put a lot of judges in the system, and so people were like, okay, we need to change the leadership for that that's one of the reasons because he will load up the court. And we'll have conservative judges all through the system. Okay, next we go to the Supreme Court. Let's see. Supreme Court. Let's look this up. Supreme Court. Supreme Court. You know I can't spell. Okay, here we go. I can spell. Supreme Court. Okay. We're talking about Obamacare to face another test. And see, they loaded up the court. Conserve majority. Okay. So he loaded up the court. Majority. John Roberts has kind of been okay. How a 6-3 majority, conservative 6-3 majority could reshape the Supreme Court. His third nominee to the Supreme Court is Amy Coney Barrett. Now, and the reason why I'm even bringing this up, this is news today. Religious liberty. Okay, Obamacare to face another Supreme Court test on Tuesday. This time with a 6-3 conservative majority. Not looking good. Not something even worse if they take Trump's case about this election. It could be another Bush v. Gore. Now, people don't remember. A lot of people don't remember. A lot of people in denial about the election. I'm willing to think that Trump's out of here, right? But to me, this is what I remember. And I remember watching the election. Everyone's hanging on you know. And I go to bed and Trump's leading in these states. And so when I wake up, it seemed like a whole lot of votes, were dumped overnight into the system. Now, I'm just being honest, man. I don't know. Look, I don't know, okay? But it didn't look or feel right to me. Yeah, the so-called best man won, best person. But it just wasn't, it just didn't I had a funny feeling about it. So I didn't over celebrate. I didn't over not celebrate, but I just was just like, something is funny. And then it is weird to me how, especially in Arizona, I have family there. And my family there was like, this Trump is going to win Arizona. Hands down, not a person I know out of there was saying Biden was going to win. And this is in Phoenix. Right, this is Trump country. They're all over the damn place, whatever. Maybe that scared people to change their vote. Maybe people don't want that sort of thing in their lives. I don't know. But it just seemed weird to me that places that have not been, that the places he flipped, like places like Georgia flips, like they get to the hood. What is it? What county was that? Clayton. Woke up watching that. Clayton. And that's the hood, man. Come on, man. And it was just weird to me, man. The whole thing is weird. And I just remember back in my mind, Bush v. Gore. how I think that was like 45 days after the election, they even put newspapers out declaring president the winner. Washington Times election special says, I'm looking at it right now, President Gore. Florida pushes Gore over the top with bare majority. Okay. A lot of people don't remember that. I remember. I'm old enough to remember. I'm older person. So these new people, they're just out there celebrating. And Trump got the court packed. He can run this to the Supreme. And because, Bush had help from his brother who was the governor. I think he was the governor Florida at the time. And they stopped the count. Because what I'm getting is they had the count. Election day, I think you're supposed to stop the count. I don't know if that's a law, but I just remember that's how Bush v. Gore ended. Bush was ahead by I think 500 votes. And they just said, stop. Don't count no more. And that's how he got in. So people are in denial about the Supreme Court. They're like, okay, if this dude, Trump's whole life has been about using lawyers to win battles. This dude's out golfing, okay? When this shit's going down. Pictures of him golfing. I don't know if he's stressed out. And then it's like, I feel like a president, I don't know if it's the Electoral College meets in December. Okay, and most of them are conservatives. So, and they're not all bound to follow the recommendation. Now, I don't know how that breaks down. I'm not going to claim to know as far as party lines, but I do understand that most are conservative. So I feel like, in essence, the media installed the president before everything is, for their own purposes or for whatever purposes that they have. The president, Biden and Kamala, right now have been installed by the media and by maybe a system. It looks good, it feels good, but it's just weird to me, man, how this played out. Now, I don't know how to properly articulate everything. It's early, I haven't had no coffee. So I'm going to run a couple of clips from other people. Because I feel like this was an exercise in leader installation, see if we go for it. Because in the future, they may install leaders through the media. Because when Bush v. Gore, they didn't have internet really like that. So it was basically paper. So, but this new age, we're on digital. You got people out here celebrating and stuff. But before, I feel like it might even be a big finesse. Okay, we're going to run. Let's see. Oh, here. I was listening to Tariq last night. And here we're going to try to, I don't have this plugged into the board, so I'm going to run it through the mic. Hold up.
Burn on TV. And no, look how they did this. This is how slick they are. They asked Jim Clyburn, Jim, and look how slick this reporter was. Hold on. Because they're like, Biden and everybody's going around thanking black people for helping them. They asked Jim Crow Clyburn, they asked Jim the Coon Clyburn what he wanted and what the black community wanted. And he started bucking his eyes. Oh, Lord, we don't want nothing. I don't want nothing. Listen to this Sambo. This scripted ass bullshit. He's going to ask him, what do you want? This is scripted. Listen to Jim Crow Clyburn. Hold on.
How do you want Joe Biden to pay you back?
Pay me back? I don't want anything out of this. All I want is a country that my children and grandchildren can be able to develop in and be able to pursue their dreams and aspirations. I've been around. I'm full scores. I'm beyond the promise. So I'm not listening. No,
I think you have a lot of promise. I think you have a lot of promise left, Congressman Clyburn. How do you?
So this Sambo, they get him on TV and ask him a loaded question that they rehearsed. So, so Congressman, what do you want from Biden? How do you want Biden to repay you? I don't want nothing. Lord, want something. Lord, being around Master is good's enough for me. Lord, I just want this good old freedom. A couple of butter biscuits there now and then. A little juleps by the sycamore tree. Oh, this Sambo ass nigga. Oh, this is him. That's him.
Hold on, they are clowning. Hold on, dude. Okay, I'm trying to get to.
That's that nigga right.
Wow, they're killing me. He back on his clowns. Oh, they clowning. Hold up. Here we go.
Who was his base? This is the thing. When you start asking questions, they start lying. Who was Joe Biden's base? It's not white men. We can't say it's white men. Let's be real. Let's just start deducting things, okay? Let's start deducting. Who was Joe Biden's base? Then people will start saying, well, just everybody who just wanted to get Trump out. No. Who was his base? Because there's a lot of people who voted for Trump. Who was Biden's base? It wasn't white men. Damn sure wasn't white women, because white women ain't voting for no damn Kamala. Kamala laying up with a white man. White women ain't voting for that. Kamala Harris don't have any kind of stock with white women like that. White women don't fuck with Kamala. Who was his base? Who was Biden's base? It's not immigrants. It's not enough immigrants to have a vote turnout like that. Who was Biden's base? They're trying to paint a narrative that his base is black people. That ain't true. His base is not black people. Let's be real. A significant number of black people did vote for Biden. They actually saved him from being completely washed. But all of these large ballots that started coming in, and they were like coming in from these black areas, that's some drag. That's cap right there. That's not real. I don't believe that. That I don't believe, dude. I don't believe that. Black people were not energized by Biden like that, even with the desire to get Trump out. Black people weren't motivated like that to get Trump out. Why? Because Trump ain't really did shit to black people like Biden did. We weren't tripping on Trump like that. Let's be real. Black people weren't tripping on Trump like that. Yeah, he says a lot of racist shit. Yeah, fuck him and all that racism and all that. But Trump per se, Trump has not put together a policy that really threw us under the bus like Biden and damn Kamala. We ain't that goddamn, we ain't dumb like that. We understand, we remember Kamala and Biden's policies. So you're not going to tell us that there was this big, massive black base for Biden and Kamala. Remember, when Kamala ran and tried to run on her own, she got rejected by the black community. Let's be real. For the most part, when Kamala Harris ran by herself, she got rejected by the black community. She had to pull out. So now all of a sudden she had to pull out earlier, and now she got this massive response from black folks because of Joe Biden. We don't like no damn Joe Biden like that. Even coonish niggas. The coonish niggas ain't that motivated. Come on, let's keep it a buck. And family, I've been traveling around the country. I've been filming. I've been everywhere around the country, around black people, chopping it up with black people, getting the vibe and the feel of black folks around the country. I've been everywhere in the last few months. We just had a huge convention in Atlanta. Thousands of people showed up. We had a great time at the convention. Nobody was feeling no damn Biden. I filmed in Chicago. I filmed in New York. I filmed in D.C. I filmed in Florida. I was just down in Louisiana a few weeks ago, right before the election. All these places I'm going, where all of these black folks, there was no outpouring of support for no damn Biden and Kamala. I've been around black people all around this country, and I got a lot of love and respect from the community, and I know how to at least get a vibe from the community. Wasn't nobody really supporting Biden and Kamala like that. Now, when I was traveling, I saw Trump shit everywhere. I told y'all, even when I went to Ohio some months back, I was in Ohio. We went out there to buy a dog. There's Trump shit all over the place. All of these other places, Trump shit all over the place.
Yeah. So.
People really energized. All these mail-in ballots that came out of nowhere. You out of your fucking mind. Who were black, they were all on the media, all y'all fake news and all that. And so they had to get together and get him out of here. Even some Republicans might have been in on it, getting Trump out of there too. I mean, because a lot of the Republicans, they're in the pockets of the corporate structure. They're in the pockets of the bankers too. You understand? So some of the Republicans, you know, they're a little quiet about it. But my thing is, look, if we're going to have an election, you're going to have to do it the right way. Because I'm not going to co-sign deception against one person just because I don't like them in favor of another group of people who everybody's supposed to be rooting for, and you did it the wrong way. Because when are you going to stop doing that? Okay? If you cheat here when we have a legitimate base out here trying to vote somebody in, are you going to use the same tactic, right? You can use the same finesse tactic again, against us again. So when does the deception stop? See, I don't co-sign anything deceptive, dude. That's the thing. See, when we talk about justice, we're talking about real justice. Right is right. I do not fuck with no Trump or none of the white supremacists who fuck with him. But the thing is, I want to get Trump out. If we get Trump out, I want to do it where we do it the right way. You give black people the tangibles we need, and we will legitimately go and vote our asses off the right way and get them up out of there. We're going to go there. Don't sit up here and not only finesse these magic ballots popping up in the middle of the damn night, and then when they pull a twist like this, they make black people the face of it. That's the real slick part of it. Because they keep talking about, oh man, black people, man, y'all so wonderful. Look what black people saved us, man. And notice when they're showing people at these polling places, they're always showing black people working there.
Fact.
When you look at images and footage from these polling places, they show black people sitting up there counting the numbers. See, that's another con game, guys. The media knows what they're doing. They know that there's going to be a backlash because of this shit.
My point.
Let's be very clear. Those MAGA folks, family, they've already caught 2 or 3 people with bombs and shit in their cars right now, driving up to these polling places. They done already caught a few white supremacists and some of these MAGA dudes talking about blowing up some of these poll counting places. They're showing up angry at these poll counting places.
Yeah. So you kind of get what he's talking about. It's Tariq Nasheed over there. If you like what he says, you know, Tariq Radio. That's his YouTube. And I was just catching this last night when I came home. I just ran it, you know, on my TV. I got all YouTube on my TV, and that was running. I pushed the button on. I listen to everybody. I listen to Roland. I listen, you know, Roland, man. And so I don't know. Like, I'm old, I remember. And it kind of feels like a reverse. It feels like a rehash of, I don't think it's, I mean, I want to be happy with the people and say it's over, man, but is it over? And then what do we get? We had, as stupid as it sounds, they had a stupid ass platinum plan over there with the Republicans, which we probably wasn't going to see see that, but the Democrats is like, oh, after we're elected, we'll talk about. And I think someone was talking about they're doing some sort of student, $10,000 off your student loans. I'm like, man, me personally, I would have preferred. I mean, I don't think Bernie would have won because people were scared of social, unless they could have covered that up. And Bernie and Warren. This truth be told, I didn't vote for Biden, and I didn't vote for Trump. I voted third party, and I didn't. And a lot of people in my group are like, "Oh, you voted Green Party again?" Because I vote Green Party usually, but I didn't this time. I didn't really, because I vote country. I didn't like the candidate, and I ain't gonna say you got to take from that what you want. And I didn't vote. What's the other party? I think Boyce Watkins was saying he voted for the Libertarians. I didn't go that route either. So you can deduct from. I didn't vote for Kanye either. Wasn't doing that. Everyone around me vote for Biden. That's cool. No problem. I don't care who you vote for, man. That's the whole thing. You got a choice. And I respect your choice. And if you vote for. I'm not going to disown somebody because they voted for Trump. I ain't going to go like some people on here saying. I ain't losing nothing for that dude. I ain't losing nothing for nobody. I ain't losing nothing. I'm an independent. Always have been. So, it seems like I'm leaning with this stuff. It seems like I'm backing these dudes. But it just is what it is, man. Let's see, like he fired the defense secretary, but these guys did nothing. And I saw Biden's already moving, talking about who his cabinet might be, and Republicans talking about they might block it. And now the Democrats are talking about they're going to reach across the aisle already. It's like a couple of days. When was the election? Today is, I don't like putting, today like Monday morning. It was like the election was last Wednesday. So it was like the 9th today. So, they're already talking about with that stuff with Obama, man. But so I want to play something else I was listening to this morning. Because I had another show prepared. And I was like, let me run this past the people. Because I like best of the web type stuff. Because, you know, I don't know. And it helps feel, let me see where this dude's at. Okay, here we're going to run this. Dwan B. Give him his credit. DWANN. And there's a space and there's a B. And that's a YouTube. So I gotta fuck with him. And I've been listening to this Randy Short. Randy Short been saying some crazy, stuff. Take from Randy Short what you want. But I have gotten a lot of book recommendations from Randy Short, Dr. Randy Short. So anyway, some pretty good books actually. I'll tell you at the end of this what they were and pass them along to you. Okay, here we go.
It talk with a spontaneous broadcast. I'm going to let y'all fill in the room. Fill in the room.
It's the beginning of his
We got a lot of shit
live.
to talk about.
Yeah.
We about to
Let him talk about his t-shirt and stuff.
How to communicate with voteps during the Biden era. First question you may have is, what the fuck is a votep? A lot of you know right now, a lot of you don't know. A votep is basically somebody who's going to vote blue no matter who. Come hell or high water, they gonna vote blue. They don't really have a logical explanation as to why they gonna vote blue. And they got problems with anybody who don't vote blue, and they want to sit around and mammy and talk shit about anybody who don't agree with them politically. That's a votep. What's up, Star? Welcome to the chat room. That's what a votep is. A votep is somebody who was in the street celebrating Joe and the Ho winning the election. Anybody who took time out their day to do cartwheels and say black girls rock. You know what I mean? Because a woman from India and Jamaica won the vice presidency of the United States of America. Yeah, right. Just like that, they feel as if everything is going to stop. It's a goddamn disgrace. And here's the thing about the whole Kamala Harris thing. Today we're going to be talking about how to communicate with these voteps. Because we're going into the holiday season. Y'all know y'all going to have Thanksgiving and Christmas around your family. And unfortunately, most of our family if you black, not only voted Democrat, they got an issue with you if you didn't vote Democrat. They look at people who didn't vote, like, I didn't vote for either president. I wrote Dr. Funkenstein on my ballot. I voted for George Clinton to the funk. You know what I mean? I didn't vote for either one of these jackasses, but they feel as if your vote automatically goes to the Democratic Party, and if you didn't do that, it's gonna be a problem. So the people in this chat room, we know in a couple weeks we're gonna have to sit around and talk to these people about the election, because you know Trump's still gonna be trying it. This shit is not over by any means. You feel me? Y'all gonna have these crazy conversations with your family members about why Joe Biden is better, why Joe Biden is the best for black people. And they're gonna say all kinds of things like, now that Joe in the hole is in office, we just gonna hold them accountable. We gonna hold them accountable. They said the same shit when Obama got in office. This was accountable when Obama got in office. The first 4 years they were saying, look now, he pushing through health care. Give him a second term. Even though he only had a house for the first 2 years. And they'll say this, well, if he went back and voted in 2010, then he could have kept the house. This is how you neutralize that argument. Go through history, go through all the elections. Usually before this 2000 election, when a new president takes office, they generally get the House and the Senate for those first 2 years, and those first 2 years alone. Clinton, Bush, Obama, Reagan. When you go back through all of their presidencies, they get the House and the Senate the first 2 years. That's all you get. After that, there's always a wave of the other party that's like, fuck this shit, and they go to the polls, and they flip the House and the Senate back in their favor. Always happens during political time. But what they do with us, they say, well, black people didn't go out and vote in 2010, and you know how the old niggas talk. Anna. No, who the fuck is Anna? Anna. You should have voted. And we could have had 4 years of the same house, and then he would have done something. So you know that's coming. You know that's coming. Right now it's going to get even worse, because they're going to say Biden don't even have a house. So what can he do? They're going to ignore the shit that he does pass for groups like immigrants and transgenders and gays and all, and the medical shit. He gonna pass all that. Niggas gonna ignore all that. And then say, because of the House and the Senate now, he couldn't do anything for us. Don't fall for that bullshit. You right, Shahar's agenda, first thing is gonna be convincing niggas to take them Bill Gates COVID vaccines, and I ain't with it. I am not with it. You know, so you know that's what they're going to be pushing. Meanwhile, these people ain't going to have an issue with them pushing this bullshit. Why? Because at least Trump's out of office. Trump ain't pushed none of this bullshit on us. Trump ain't did nothing to directly affect black people. Yeah, did Trump fuck up the country in a lot of ways? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And when I didn't vote for either one in 2016, I knew if Trump got in office that he would fuck up a lot of things. And to be clear, I am totally cool with everything that Trump fucked up, because I come from the philosophy, either we all gonna be equally comfortable or we gonna all be equally uncomfortable. That's the school of thought I come from. So I wasn't tripping on the shit that Trump was doing, because, hey, at least everybody's mad. Now, watch what's going to happen. All these people who was on our side during the Trump administration, they going to go back to their corners. Now that they got their guy in office, they going to go back to their corners. Your immigrant groups, your like Indians and Asians, they got the person that they want in office because Kamala Harris is, guess what? Indian and Asian again now, ain't she? The Latinos ain't going to be tripping because Biden is going to do some token shit like release the kids from cages, so they're going to be good. Meanwhile, the police still going to be trying to shoot and kill us. But we got something for their ass because black people, we focus like a motherfucker. We focus as hell. So let's get into this. And then I want to talk to some of y'all in the chat when we get through this.
Yeah. So that's, that's the one B. His take on it. So what else? Oh. And last night I was talking to a brother. Oh, there's a couple things, other things I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about the Stacy Abrams, man. How she feels not being selected by Joe Biden as the VP candidate, but then delivering the victory. This is, what the media says, she in Georgia helped deliver that decisive victory for Joe. Okay. Which is interesting because she couldn't deliver that for herself in her own race for governor. And she didn't want to run again. Well, actually, no, she couldn't do that. But he didn't pick her. And people were like, she didn't want to be his running mate. She didn't want that job. She didn't want to do that because she had other stuff she wanted to do. She wanted a cabinet position. I'm more inclined to think that she is going to be, what's that lady that was head of DMs? Donna Brazile. Karen Wood. I hope she don't end up carrying water for the Democrats like Donna Brazile. Then when you do something, they get rid of you fast. Mammyism. Look, my point is that I think they picked. There's one or two reasons why they picked Kamala over Stacey. And what Tariq said, black women weren't really in love with Kamala like that. I mean, I guess you're AKA whatever, that's your thing. But that whole little system, I ain't gonna talk about it, give them no ear. I ain't mad at them. It's just something I don't really, it's just weird to me, man. Been to college, been in that system, so whatever that is, and I'm not in it. So I pulled this up. Someone was trying to argue with me saying she didn't want the job, so I'm just going to pull this up. Stacy Abrams on the View. 8 months ago. I think they started out with what we're talking. Yeah, hold on, let's get to it.
It's President's Day, and while you're not running at the moment, at this very second you're not running, a lot of people want to see you on that ticket, first as vice president. And you said, that any Democratic candidate can come and talk to you about being VP. Explain to people why you say this.
Okay, so the first time I was on here, I got the question about running as VP during the primary, and I very apparently famously said no, because you don't run for second in a primary.
Right.
However, because that conversation started, I'm now getting the question a lot from folks. And the answer is, of course, I would be honored to run for vice president with the nominee. And thank you. But I mean, it's a bit disconcerting because it seems really obnoxious for me to say that out loud since I'm not, no one's asked me. But what I want people to understand is that...
in the media. Yeah.
Exactly. The issue is, as a woman of color, especially as a black woman, this is an unusual position to be in for someone to be considered possibly the next vice president. And it would be doing a disservice to every woman of color, every woman of ambition, every child who wants to think beyond their known space for me to say no, or to pretend, oh no, I don't want it. Of course I want it. Of course I want to serve America.
Good.
Of course I want to be a patriot and do this work. And so I say yes.
Yes, very good.
You also see yourself running as president, too.
Oh, absolutely.
At some point, you
Absolutely. Again, when someone starts in the mailroom and says, I want to be the CEO, we never go, oh my gosh, that's too much ambition. Why should we not want someone to have the power to fix the problems and the brokenness that we have? I want to do good, and there is no stronger platform than President of the United States, and that's a position I wanted to one day hold.
So the presidential primary in Georgia is on March 24th.
It is.
And I don't think you've endorsed a candidate yet, have you?
I have not.
Do you think you should? Would you like to? Would you like to do it here?
This seems to be your job. You always ask me these questions.
So, yeah. So, like I said, congratulations, Kamala, on reigning on her parade. Whatever. And there's still undercurrents of people arguing whether she's black or not. And she didn't do well as a candidate on her own. Matter of fact, she fell flat in the black community against a crowd of white candidates, which, I don't know. Even Roland on his show was talking about it.
I say all kinds of things, Roland.
Let's see what's going on.
This
is 11 months ago.
With our Black You Vote. Young people, it may not be the polls you see on the news.
See if we can catch a clip here.
We weren't seeing her down like what they were saying in those polls. And in the Essence poll that we did, she with millennials, she was still was tied for one of the top three. So I don't buy just waiting on the polls, because at the end of the day, it's the vote. And so what
Good point.
I would say, as a black woman, I'm very disappointed, but but also have to respect the sister for stepping up and realizing she couldn't take it to the next level. We have to also ask ourselves, why was she targeted so? I felt, in anyways, she was, yes, women have a hard time, but at the end of the day, when she was polling higher in some of those more broader opinion polls, she still wasn't getting the kind of coverage she should have gotten. Right? So,
Let's go, because Joe, let's look at this. The first, coming out of the gate, in the first 3 months, the highest rated town halls on MSNBC and CNN were Senator Kamala Harris. Out of all the candidates, highest rated. So clearly there were people who wanted to hear from her, see what she had to say. I think if you start looking at, you're absolutely right in terms of coverage, but also I think there were some fatal mistakes. One that really jumped out. Obviously, there were people who were focusing on her record as a prosecutor. Right. But she did not release a criminal justice reform plan until the Monday before the debate at TSU in September. You open in March. If that's your weakest link, if you will, or how folks are going to attack you, you cannot go 5 or 6 months and not have a criminal justice plan. Yeah. I think when you start looking at that, I think that was a huge deal, because the narrative, her campaign, they allowed the narrative to be established before they established it.
Yeah. Well, you know, there are obviously some mistakes in the campaign, and right?
Yeah, so that's 11 months ago before she stepped down. And that was a little bit of, let's see. It's a video of Roland Martin. Here's why Kamala Harris struggled to gain black voter support during her presidential campaign, dated December 4th, 2019. So if we talk,
do you support reparations for black people?
This is my fatal mistake.
Well,
One of
listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act.
Okay.
Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities,
and
we understand
the gap
that's
stay.
why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that.
She's not worried about closing the gap.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole in the country. Right?
So, okay. Stacy Abrams. Do you think she would have done something that would benefit black people? I think the reason why she wasn't picked is colorism. That's because it's really weird to me that people have such a short memory. They've been marching, having all these protests about Black Lives Matter, defund the police, because the communities are over-policed, right? Defund the police. And then turn around and elect a cop. Because for all intents and purposes, she's a former law enforcement officer. She's a cop. Top cop of California. So, and I just like to keep history in context when I talk. Am I lying? So she wants to not do anything that only benefits black people. And there's been literally, protests all over the country, massive, almost going, bigger than the ones in the 60s. And then the people turn around and put a cop in office. And the author of the crime bill. No, but what I'm saying is, okay, and my opinion may be like this, okay. The mass incarceration might not be needed because the prison now is the street. instead of locking people inside the institutions, have you noticed they're letting people out of jail and then kind of decriminalizing everything, because the streets, prison and jail might be a step up because there's so many people living on the streets in poverty. Intense. Jail was probably a hotel for these people. And there's so many that they couldn't afford, had to find a new way and couldn't throw them all in prison. Plus, many of them are Caucasian, white. So before they were just throwing a lot of black people in jail and some whites. I ain't gonna say they weren't. So, but these are the lawmakers' kids on the streets now. So, I'm feeling like I work in an area downtown in one of the worst areas of Seattle. And what I've noticed is it's a geofence. There's a street called Third Avenue. The people are congregated in certain areas. Third Avenue, Seattle, it's a geofence. But they want to, and they're using the ambulance services and the social workers they have as sort of like a probationary, like a probation officer, check in on you, let you do all the damn drugs you want. And people are lost in a delusional spell. The geofence is there to incarcerate people mentally. That's the new mass incarceration. See what I'm saying? And to talk about the old show, I had a show, and then we're going to do a second show on Andre Taylor and what, Mary Janie Durkin gave him, the ex-pimp, made him a street czar and gave him a big old salary, $250,000. But what I started to think is that he is less likely a street czar. He's more of a prison preacher. See, people reject religion, so it's not really effective. Because the prison is the streets. Poverty is prison. They have no plan to do anything about poverty but to manage your poverty and have these corporations make money on your poverty. So when they did the lockdown, all the small businesses closed. So now the only thing left is major corporations that have the money to stay there. And it's funny how in my Democratic area that they closed everything down, but they had no problem with people protesting. And then they had no problem with people going to vote. That was fine. So when we talk about Joe Biden mass incarceration, he, in the end of his life, is the master of his own work. But now, like I said, the streets are the prison. And are we prisoners in our homes? We stand, think about it. We get everything delivered to the house now. We get DoorDash and stuff. People stay in your house. Quarantine. So now we have the architect of mass incarceration over the quarantine. Look, everything's relaxed now. But it's funny to me that, say, like our governor here in Washington State, Jay Inslee, all media reports are saying that what? COVID is on the rise. but everything's relaxed. I mean, there's a couple stipulations, not so many people here, every other table capacity. He ain't said nothing. It's on the rise. Nothing during election season. They got people locked in nursing homes. So our de facto leader right now, until he takes the helm, January 30th, is the author of the crime bill, which kicked off. It was already there, but it really put that shit. It gave him financial incentive for mass incarceration. What is it? What's going on, man? 2020. Do you believe, after everything that's been going on this year, the only smooth thing that goes is this election? You decide. With that, I'm out. Go to Politibro.com. We're on all platforms, podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Gmail Podcasts, Spotify, got a YouTube, Politibro TV over at YouTube, and Cash App, Cash App Politibro. Just make sure you spell it right. POLITIBRO at Cash App. Like, share, and donate. If you're listening on YouTube, try to share it. Just share it. And the group is on Facebook. There's a group on there. There's a couple fake groups, but the one with the shooting star, that's kind of got a red trail behind it, white star. That's the group. And there's a page, Politibro. Y'all have a good day. Talk with you on the next podcast. Thank you.